Hello everyone, welcome back to Turtles Cove Media. Glad you're here, whether you're here to watch, learn, or just decompress for a little bit. We're going to have a great time today. So we're getting right back into our Tetris game. Not a whole lot, we just have a screen. And so let's continue to build on that. So last time we just set up our basic window. Not a whole lot going there. We have our screen width, screen height, our FPS, which you don't really see that at this point. Just getting the foundations laid. So first things first, just going to make sure the code's working like it was last time. Never know, something weird may have happened. Yep, a nice black background. So we're going to exit out of that. So today we're going to be adding a grid, and we're actually going to be changing up a good few things in this code. Another thing we're going to be doing this time around, we'll be using a lot more functions. Didn't do that too much in the Pong game, but we'll be using that a lot more going forward. So let's get into it. So sorry about using so much. I'm going to try and back that off a little bit. We're going to be expanding in our constants and actually changing them a good bit. So first things first, we're going to be adding 3. These are going to be these are going to be related to the actual grid on our screen. So this is where our little Tetris blocks will be falling in. So we're going to have cell size, which is 30. So this is 30 pixels. So this is going to be how big each of the grids is going to be. Our columns, we're going to short to COLS, equal to 10. Our rows equal to 20. And we're actually going to be changing our screen size up just a little bit. We're going to have just width and height. And these are actually going to be the new constants we've added will be how their sizes are determined. And then height, which is very similar, cell size, but it's going to be times our rows. Again, very easy to come up, change these things. If we wanted to, we could come back around later and change that. Maybe we want to have our width and height a completely separate thing, or we derive our cell size in our columns and our rows from the width and height. But a little bit getting to more complex things, not anything we have to do now, so we're going to move on. So one thing with our screen fill, we're currently hard coding it, which just means we're putting the actual values in here, which can make it a little hard to go and find, or maybe we're wanting to just change things up. So we're going to be adding actually 2 more constants. So we're going to call it, first one, background. And all this is going to be is 0, 0, 0. And I'll just put a little note. If you want to leave a small note in Python, you can put the hash or the pound symbol. And I'm just going to call this black. That's the color. And then we're going to create one, which is, we're just going to call it grid color. So this will be the color of the actual grids on our screen. And we're going to do 50, 50, 50, which is a shade of gray. All right. So now we're going to get into our first function. And so this is how we're going to actually be drawing our grids, or this will be what's getting used to draw our grids. So we're going to have def, which is how we start a function, and we're going to call it draw grid. So and this is where you're going to see some of the, I talked about how we usually don't want to use A, B, or C nonsense, but in this case we're actually using what's called Y and X, and I just noticed we'll get back to our screen here in a minute and change those out. So for Y in range rows, colon, and for X in range columns. And so what it's doing is when this function gets called, and we'll call it in our main piece of code in a minute, it's going to use a y coordinate first. Well, and it's going to check all the rows. So it's going to basically, it's going to, for each value, it's going to create our grid. And then same thing with columns. It's just going to go through and create everything for us. I'm going to call it pygame.draw.rec. Screen. And here you want our grid color. Sure I can see everything. So I'm going to have to pull back a little bit my notes. This line gets a little long. Grid color y times our cell size where did I go wrong? Oh, I see what I did. There we go. Sorry, I realized I messed this up just a little bit. So what we have is we're sending it to the screen, we're giving it our grid color, which is gray, and next we're giving it the coordinates, the bounding of where we want everything. So we're giving it its x coordinate, then we're giving it its y coordinate, and then the size. So in this case they're all squares, so everything's just the cell size, which is 30 pixels by 30 pixels. And then we're going to do the same thing, because what's going on is we're drawing the gray, and then we're putting the gray grid, and then we're actually drawing our black background over most of that grid. Screen. In this case, we're actually passing our background color. And this is going to be very similar. And then size. And all right. So this is the same thing, just we're making sure we leave a little bit of that gray showing. All right, so we're going to come back up and fix this like I should have done earlier. Just change it to width and height. All right. So now what we're going to be doing, none of this is changing yet. This all holds true. So this, though, our screen.fill, we're changing it to our background. And then right below it, so we're going to hit enter. We're just going to do draw grid. Save it. And now we're going to run our program. Give it a moment. There we go. As you can see, oh, I screwed up a little bit. Yeah, so we have our grid here, as you can see. So we have gray. Each of the grids are gray, and we have a nice black outline. Screw that up a little bit. So yeah, so we're drawing the gray, and then with our second draw.rect is we're just creating, that's how we're creating the border. So looks nice and tidy. So this is where our Tetris blocks will be starting up top, and it'll be falling to the bottom, and then going on from there. So nothing super complicated today. Expanded our code a bit. Getting those basic foundations of what our game will be in here. And so not going to make this a double lesson day just because next lesson is actually going to be pretty beefy, because we're actually going to be drawing our shapes, and just for some testing we'll get some of them just thrown up onto the grid just so we can all see what they're going to look like. But it's going to be pretty beefy and lots of stuff to get into. So again, go around, you can play with some of this stuff. You can change the our background color, and actually I need to change these. I think. See if that looks better. Let it run. Oh, I think I like it the other way, honestly. So we're gonna change these back. But you can go through. You can play with these. These are in one nice, easy location, and you can change the colors. Do something funky. Do something weird. It's your code. You can do whatever you want with it. But I think I'm gonna leave it like this. I like that. Alrighty. So there it is. Gonna zoom out so we have still small enough we can easily get everything into a single shot. That's gonna end tomorrow, or not tomorrow, the next lesson. Glad you guys stopped by today. Hope you're having fun. If you're learning something, that's even better. Everyone, I hope you rest your week goes well, and see you next time. Have a good one.